This is the third and last of our three-part mini-series with Dave and Bat Eater. Be sure to keep an eye out for their new hip-hop review podcast that spun off from these 3 episodes, premiering on this channel Thursday. Now, back to the show.
If every kid wants to be a fucking YouTuber, I'm just going to have a little brick and mortar print shop / production studio with a fucking podcast room. And I'm just going to like edit and mix and master and fucking upload it for you. And you're going to pay me. Like that's my real life plan now because it's like viable. The internet shit's whatever. Like it's fun to be able to live off of very little money in Kentucky and then just travel around and do whatever we want. I mean, honestly, you do the high production stuff at the front end, so Carl stops listening.
Yeah.
And then you can shit around at the back end when WATP's not clipping you. That's my new rule for podcasting.
I couldn't even make it through the first half of the episode. I had to take a picture of how sad I was about it. That motherfucker says picture like pitcher of water.
I love it.
I love him
It's
too.
the Rochester accent. I didn't even notice it for the first like
Rochester
150 episodes because it was just what I'm used to.
Oh, the whole
Fascinating.
New England's accents are amazing. Maryland's accent is like a mixture between South, Midwest, and retarded.
My theory with all accents is that they're putting you on, they're doing a bit, and they don't actually talk like that.
Well, they're just doing the bit everyone else is doing around them, right? But they could always just snap back into this voice.
I think you're right.
That's why British actors get all the good American jobs.
Isn't that kind of actually how linguistics works? You just kind of develop it off of people. Okay, all right, I feel you, Dave.
Well, no, but like, I think there's a cultural awareness of how to talk like this and how to do a Harry Potter accent. But in England, they're all like thespian-ass people, and they're all doing like the Harry Potter accent all the time. Like, but they know enough American culture to like have grown up hearing Iron Man talking normally. There's not really, we live in a real globalist era. There's not like an excuse for accents.
And you know who has a real shitty accent is that asshole Denzel Curry, and you can hear it all over his last piece of shit record that he dropped.
I agree.
That's really funny though. You cut out. All right, he's back.
Sorry, I was taken out by how bad that last Denzel Curry album was. What did you think, Dave?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. It's great.
What do you think, Trixie? We'll all give a quick what do we think of the album, and then we'll let you guys argue about it. That's what I'm excited for.
I'm torn about it. I feel 2 ways.
Ooh, okay. Bird?
I didn't like it.
Okay. Mint?
I love the production.
You loved it?
Dave with on this one.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's like an 8 out of 10.
I agree. 8.5 out of 10. I don't know. Strong 8.
Anthony Fantano agrees with
all
you.
8s. I don't... Fuck Fantano.
Yeah, Fantano gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. And
I use decimal systems.
Yeah, but what did he rate Hurricane Season?
He hasn't yet. But I kind of needed to hear his review before I even could do my own because I wanted to know if the like general tenor was going to be positive or negative towards the album. Like, how do people feel about this? And it seems like it is divisive.
So it made me a fan of Denzel. My take's probably going to be the quickest and least complicated, but I never really saw like the superstar potential in him like I see in some other people. Or like, you know, you look at Pusha T and go, holy shit, or like Big Sean, and you're like, wow, that's Big Sean. Or like Lupe Fiasco. I never got that from Denzel until this one, and he said I could either live like Jay or die like Ja, and I went, okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Like, you get it. You get my respect. Like, I get it now. Not even you get it, but like, I now get Denzel Curry because of this album. Mm-hmm. So it made me a fan of Denzel, like, overall. I liked Unlocked, but that wasn't really Denzel, like, trying. That was kind of like a shitpost. So it's cool to see that I also like what he spent 3 years trying really hard to do. Obviously, my biggest complaint is that John Wayne's, like, a bitch. Like, fake. And I hate John Wayne fans.
I knew that would be a complaint.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, your take, Trixie?
This album is exactly what I wanted him to release. So in that way, I'm happy with it. Because, like, I really got into Denzel Curry off the back of Imperial. I had been listening to him since Nostalgic 64 because of Threats. But I basically just knew Threats and, like, Dark and Violent, and that's it. So when I heard Imperial and 13 and the songs he did with Lil Ugly Mane, who I was getting really into around the time, I started picking up on the positive messaging in his lyrics, how he has all these bars about, like, now I'm thinking about on the new album, killing all my demons because my soul's worth redeeming. There was something very similar to that in the last track on Zeltron 6 Billion. But yeah, just the fact that he had all these bars about like self-improvement, and I thought it was really interesting that the album had this like dark to light transition where it starts off about like all the bad things that he's thinking about and then ends in a place of I'm going to get through all that. And so I ended up finding this interview that he did with Blackie Speaks, who like up until this point, Denzel Curry was a widely misunderstood artist where like Fantano's review of Nostalgic 64 almost paints it like he was just like a thug rapper or something. And like he is rapping about like gang violence and stuff like that, but all from a perspective of like a cinematographer almost.
Sure.
Like he's composing movies, and that is written into the text of the album. The song Widescreen is about how all these songs are about the stuff he sees on TV, on the news, while smoking weed and opening his third eye. So like, you know, and that album's kind of uneven, and I would say, you know, 32 Zell Planet Shrooms, a lot of people didn't like that project overall, except for Ultimate, which is like considered his, you know, his magnum opus track.
So that's also the big meme song.
And I missed that meme. I didn't see it as a meme at all. So I basically missed that double EP, and I kind of took it as like, oh, this is drug music, and I wasn't into drugs yet, so, you know, I didn't relate to it. When I got into drugs, when I started smoking weed,
Quick round of applause for drugs.
When I put on 13 and I heard those like laser noises at the start, and just like the crazy production on his songs, that started getting me more into it. Then I started realizing that he was actually saying shit in his bars, you know, pulling back the layers and stuff. And then watching the interviews with him, I was really impressed with his whole attitude. And he goes on this rant about how Kendrick Lamar and Drake are successful because of how sensitive they are, because they can put their sensitivity forward. And so he wants to show everybody how sensitive he is. But the way he's saying it is so forceful and intense. Denzel Curry is somebody who's really struggling to be sensitive. He is trying his best to be as sensitive as he
He's
can.
transphobic.
But like, if you watch,
we'll get to that. I just wanted to throw it in there.
Oh man, now fuck him.
I haven't heard anything
I'm riding with
about that.
Trixie.
I'm gonna break down a lyric, and we can talk about whether he's talking about transphobia.
I'm gonna tell you right
and, like,
fucking now.
Anti-LGBT
That'll be
sentiment.
interesting.
I'm riding on the right side of history. Fuck Denzel.
but he, you know, his interviews and stuff were interesting, and the direction he was trying to take. He recently did this Therapy Gecko interview where he's talking to caller-ins.
That was pretty
and
funny.
that was where
That was great.
it was really funny, and that also made me think about how, like, you know, he talks a lot on this album about how difficult it is for him to be sensitive, and you can definitely see that in there where he's like kind of weirdly aggressive with people. Like, he's very like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he's, you know, very confrontational about the things that are weird about other people, despite being weird as shit himself, you know, confrontationally weird in and of himself. So it's interesting to see the way that he like approaches talking to people and all the different content he's been in. Very hyperactive and intense. You know, he's a gook, as he puts
Excuse
it,
me?
which is in Florida slang
Used
for.
to be a slur, but now
No, it is
now
still a
It's
slur.
not a racial slur in South Florida.
Now it's not a slur.
Well, not there.
I'm just
anyways.
saying.
You're telling me this man
very
who's
interesting. As the
obsessed with
Asian in the call,
anime.
it's very interesting that people get to do that.
Well, that was the thing.
fascinating.
I
That's
thought
all.
he was trying to say that he was Asian, which he is actually part Asian. I
Explains the
believe,
Zatoichi
or-
shit.
Yeah, I thought it was about being Asian, but no, he explained that just like down there, they say gook to mean weirdo. It's just a word that means weirdo in South Florida. So like it just has no racial connotation to him at all. And I think he wasn't even considering it. But so because it confused the shit out of me the first few times I heard the song. But you know, he is a freak flag flyer. He has a lot of songs about that, a lot of commentary on the state of his hair at different points of his career. You know, hair is always like a freak flag metaphor.
Bald.
So. You know, yeah, bald, of course, is a part of that.
Don't
as
make
well.
fun of his
Now
alopecia. We don't do that
slap me.
here.
well, now he's doing the Goku spikes,
Yeah.
so that's cool. But yeah, so I wanted him to go in that direction of trying to make the big, sensitive, explorative album, and Taboo kind of flirted with that, and particularly the opening song. Like, so, to me, Taboo, the character that he's like writing this ode to in the song, is himself. Like, it's just like the dark, sad, fucked up part of himself put into the form of a girl called Taboo. And he's talking about how, you know, I knew you wasn't normal when you reached the age of 9. I heard you were molested when you reached the age of 5. all that stuff. And then now on this album, you got Melt Session, where he's just like, yeah, I got molested as a kid. Like, yeah, like, I don't know how to, I have difficulty with these sentimentalities. And so it's like everything he was saying in a veiled way before, now he is just saying.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it took him so long, and why he had all these other kind of vapid but still very fun. Like, I love Zoo. I love, Unlocked. But yeah, they are like lower concept in comparison to even something like 32 Zelda Planet Shrooms, which once I finally got into, I absolutely loved that album. And that album, you can really tell that every single song was constructed by way of saying, like, I'm going to take this is going to be the C-Funk song. What does C-Funk mean? It means you take C-Punk and combine it with Outkast. Like, and that is the song. And so, like, when you know his influences and you know exactly what he's doing on each track, it makes a lot more sense. And that is clearly the approach he took to this album. And he even explained that in an interview where he goes down the list of all the different musical styles he wanted to use on this project. And you can hear it all in there. And so, like, the first couple songs he dropped, where it was Walkin' and Zatoichi, are borrowing from like this 90s jungle sound, lots of these airy synths and female backing vocals, and like it had a very particular vibe that I fucked with hard. I was like, this is exactly where I want Denzel to go. So I was very hyped for the project. The T-Pain track dropped, and I thought, this doesn't sound like the other two songs, but T-Pain destroys this verse. It's amazing. T-Pain just Denzel's verse to me was just okay. T-Pain's verse was like one that I could listen to the song over and over again and memorize it and want to sing along, want to like karaoke this track, because he just delivered it so well. So I was excited. I put on the album full blast night it came out, instant it dropped on YouTube. I clicked on it. Melt Session #1 made me cry. It melted my eyes. I hadn't even thought about the fact that melting your eyes meant tears until that moment. So I'm sitting there just like, oh my God, this is so fucking good. It's so emotional, so beautiful. And then I had thought Walkin' would be track 1 just from the way it sounds. But the fact that the lead into it is so perfect. And when you hit the beat switch in Walkin', it hits way harder because it's track 2. So I was totally mesmerized, first 2 tracks. Then you get to track 3, and kinda it doesn't sound anything the fuck like the first 2 songs, and it's much shorter, it's much less conceptual, it feels like just kind of, just like a track, like just a regular Denzel Curry single track that could have been on any of those other albums that came out in between. And that was when I kind of went like, okay, well, I don't hate this song, but this is like a real shift away from what was so exciting up to this point. And then I remember track 4 feeling exactly the same way. Like, this is just kind of like a stem of a song. Like, it doesn't feel fully realized to me. I'm going to pull up the track list real quick just to...
I agree with you as far as Worst Comes to Worst and John Wayne. I think it's both a tremendous... boon and a tremendous curse against this record that pretty much every single song was produced by someone else.
It sounds chaotic in a way that I didn't expect
Peggy
it to.
did John Wayne, I think.
Oh, really? I did not know that. And there's plenty of these where I liked the beats, but some of them were really weird, or the songs were just structured strangely, or felt incomplete. Like Worst Comes to Worst, it was really just the hook that I thought was a real letdown. Yeah. Worst Comes to Worst, I drive a forklift? That doesn't sound that bad. Like, I don't know. I get that he really doesn't want to live a normie life because he had the lines about not wanting to push a shopping cart before on a previous album. I thought that was a more powerful way to present this idea than slag. Like, I'm just imagining anybody who drives a forklift can't now get the energy of this song because they have to be depressed about what their job is, while they listen to it. Like, oh yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, and I haven't listened to this album enough times to remember every track. So The Last and Mental, I can't remember exactly what they sounded like. Troubles is the good song with T-Pain. But then we get to the posse cut, Ain't No Way. And I know you liked this song, Riley.
Oh, yeah.
I could not. I hated this track.
What'd you not like about it?
I don't like. I hate the hook. The Ain't No Way.
Ain't no way.
I hate that.
But you don't like Donda.
I don't think it sounds good.
So you just don't like this wave.
Maybe not.
That part of this wave. Because Donda does that.
I don't like the way that part sounds at all, and I don't like the way that Rico Nasty sounds on her verse, where I think they needed to layer her up or something, or just like make her louder in the mix. It sounds like she's getting totally swallowed by the beat to me in a way that I don't like, and I couldn't really parse what she was saying on there. She just didn't dominate over the music to me.
I think the beat kind of pigeonholed her a bit. Like, I don't... In the Rico Nasty I've heard so far, I don't recall her being, like, in a position to do any of these kinds of flows. So it might be, like, really out of her comfort zone. Like, the kind of chanty stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's probably a part of it. But, like, after the beat switches and you get Jid and Denzel, I think they're great. Mm-hmm. That whole part of the song, if it was its own song, I would have been completely happy with.
You just don't like the Rico feature and the hook.
And the hook, yeah. Like, if you just segmented out the Jid and Denzel part, and I think Denzel's part is even better than Jid's, I understand how this ended up on his album. I don't know if you've heard the story of this song that was told on the interview.
Go ahead and tell it for anyone who hasn't.
Basically, just he was in the middle of a session by way of the fact that a whole bunch of different artists happened to be around the same building or like were able to call each other in. Like they all just ended up in the studio working together and all jumping on this track. And it was very like spur of the moment. Everybody's like just hyped up and makes it happen.
Okay.
And then like afterwards they're like, well, what do we do with it? And like it was going to be a Rico Nasty track, but then she didn't really want it. And then basically it just ended up with Denzel. So like it's particularly weird to me that on this album that seems so conceptual in theory, that this totally out of nowhere posse cut that has nothing to do with anything else on the album just shows up.
There was a tinge of disappointment in Fantano's voice when he was like, when Denzel was telling that story on the air. Because, like, everything else here is really clearly thought out, but this just kind of seems unnecessary.
I'm a sucker for a Jitty verse. I'll tell you what.
So, Trixie, point of clarification. When you say you don't like the hook, do you just mean the ain't no way, or like, what do you think of Black's?
The ain't no man. Man.
I fucking love that version you just did. I want you to record that and put that on something.
Six Black though.
I think that part. I think his voice sounds good. I don't like the way that the beat sounds under it, and particularly just the fact that it leads from that into the "Ain't No Way" chant. Like it feels like a build up into a disappointment. So that doesn't help it either. You know. One
of the flexiest hook lines I've ever heard is riding through the six without the Drake, but got the Drake. Like that's a good line.
After "Ain't No Way" was X-Wing, and this one is like the beat kicked in, and at first I thought, okay. This sounds nice, but it also immediately struck me as like a type beat, like a YouTube type beat.
Bad take.
Yeah, do you think that?
And then he says like, all my beats go hard in the stereo, which I thought was hilarious. But my shit's too smart for the radio, I think he says. I think X-Wing comes off to me probably as improvised, which is not an insult, because Denzel Curry is like the best improvised rapper there is, the best freestyler that I can think of, and I know he freestyled like all of Unlocked, and this sounds like he always has at least one freestyle track on each album. This sounds like that one. I thought it was fine, but just kind of one note, didn't stick with me that much, didn't leave a huge impact on me. I think this is a song that some people will absolutely love because, you know, I'm flying in an X-Wing, like
it's a vibe,
that's what it feels like.
I mean, that's not the point of the song. The point of it is I'm just on to the next thing. Like, it's not about the X-Wing part. I don't want a new car. I want an X-Wing. I'm just on to the next thing.
Yeah, but I don't see anything deeper in that. It just sounds like him going, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a king.
Yeah, but that is different than saying, like, I want a spaceship. Like, Elon Musk wants an X-Wing. Like, Denzel wants whatever is the next thing, and it might not be an X-Wing.
Yeah, looking at the next few songs, like, I remember The Smell of Death and Sandro both just, like, felt, again, like, just kind of stems of songs. Like, they didn't have a huge impact on me. Angels, I don't even remember, honestly, like, what it sounded like.
Of course you don't.
I haven't listened to this.
It's calling you.
I've only listened to it, like, twice.
Transphobic. This is the transphobic song. Your brain just melted it out of your head. That's how it works.
Maybe
I'm just
so.
shitposting, but when I first heard it, I was bringing Dave into the room, and the verse structure, both verses start with, I spent my whole life looking for validation. And then he says something that rhymes.
Yeah.
In the second verse, he says, in today's age, it would have led to my cancellation. Damnation for those the good book opposes. Life goes to shit thinking I smell roses.
Fuck gay people.
But like he goes
what
right,
he said.
dude. Denzel said we like jokes. Jokes are funny. I like Dave. Dave is funny.
I didn't catch the transphobia in there, so I'm just.
I spent my whole life looking
not
for
getting it.
validation. In today's age, it would have led to my cancellation. Damnation for those the good book opposes is a very strong stance against degeneracy. At the very least, I don't know what he considers degeneracy.
Yes.
But I mean, well, that's a pretty biblical
smoking.
fucking thing to say.
Well, what is he fucking owning a Discord server with like a statue of a Greek person as his profile picture and shit? Like, it's not calling out all degenerates here. He just
Damnation for those the good book opposes is like a very strong thing to say.
In my opening statement, ladies and gentlemen of the NVP, in my opening statement, I will break down exactly why Riley is full of shit and this album is nothing but surface level bullshit. Continue. I'm sorry.
So Trixie, I maybe not specifically transphobia. I just then you watch him do these like live gecko calls, and when gay people are talking about gay stuff, he just kind of like dissociates. It just goes into his phone.
Yeah, at some point he's like, "Oh, you a they, you a they."
He really
and
doesn't
he
give a shit.
Calls the non-binary person she for the rest of the entire fucking time.
He really doesn't care about the LGBT. I'm not saying he's
twice.
anti-LGBT, but I'm saying he's very religious, and he clearly doesn't give a shit about kowtowing. But I think the poignancy is that he's saying that if he spent his whole life looking for validation, and it's weird how easy you can just get it right now. That's what I take out of it, based on the rest of the verse. He tried really hard, and nowadays you can just like be like, I'm edgy and I'm trans. Or I'm gay. I'm gay, like iDubbbz did.
Well, I mean, I fully agree with him on that. Yeah. So that's
Anyway, but, Angels. That's my favorite song on the album because I'm transphobic.
Yeah, I remember that one being pretty good for like lyrically. I barely like a lot of these had just really chaotic and strange instrumentals.
Well, that one had
I got like
Gorillaz
really hung up in.
You should revisit it later.
I got hung up in like how weird a lot of the songs sounded, and especially again, The Smell of Death and Sanjuro both felt like these weird little. And The Ills, the last song, is a particularly like out there one.
Yeah, The Ills is weird.
Zatoichi, I loved before the album came out. I thought it would have made perfect sense to be track 3. Like the album flow would have still made sense.
Well,
it feels weird that it suddenly comes back.
Because every time on like streaming platforms, whenever he would post when he posted Zatoichi and then Troubles, it was like kind of filling out the album because the first one was just Walkin', it was just a single, and then the Zatoichi single was Walkin', then Zatoichi, then it was Troubles, then Walkin', then Zatoichi on Troubles, and it's like.
Interesting.
I totally get what you mean. He's kind of priming it to be track 3, so I don't know where that went. But
yeah, to me, like Melt Session goes perfectly into Walkin'. Walkin' goes perfectly into Zatoichi. Nothing in between goes perfectly into each other. So it's a weird feeling, very lopsided kind of album. But like, I think there are definitely songs in here I think I would like if I listened to them more. But part of that would be that like. I'm deliberately trying to like it as opposed to just naturally vibing with it, you know? So, like, it's like I could see pulling a lot more out of this, like, if I was doing it on purpose. But, like, my initial reaction was kind of like, you know, the first few songs I was picking up what he was putting down really hard. But after that, it kind of felt like much more genericized versions of the same messages where, like, he keeps referencing how bad the world is and how he, you know, smokes weed and raps to deal with these problems and contextualize these feelings and all this stuff. He keeps talking about that he does it. But what is being contextualized is really only talked about on, like, Melt Session and Troubles, where he's actually going in depth about what are the problems, you know? Whereas, like, Worst Comes to Worst is, like, so general that it just feels like, well, why did we go here after we've already been through the Melt Session, you know? That's kind of where I was at with the whole album.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's a 9 out of 10 for you, huh?
Yeah, what's your score? Give a score.
I don't know if I can score it yet because I haven't heard it enough, but like my initial reaction would probably be like a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
My queen, I'm with you.
Bars. All right, so let's have a Bird. What's your take? Because you have a negative take.
Bird? He's asleep.
Well, perfect.
Oh, yeah, he's going to go
out.
to sleep real soon when I see him.
Don't worry, guys. He's just roosting. He has to preserve his energy. My take is I listened to some parts of it when I was in the room to listen to it. But what I've heard, I like the production a lot. The instrumentals are good. Very good. Just whenever Denzel has like some sort of beat, it's just vibes with me. Especially unlocked type beats. It's pretty good, especially his flow. I always love his flow.
The flows on Walken are ridiculously good.
His flows are just great. Whenever I'm listening to music, I'm looking more for the flow and the beat. I'm not usually listening to words when I'm listening to music.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's my whole take on the situation.
So now, Dave, the ball's in your court to talk about Denzel Curry. What's your relationship with him? What do you
Come
give us
on,
your
Dave.
little Denzel appeal to authority, and then talk about the album.
I've been into Denzel Curry a lot, for a hot second. Probably since around the same time I got into Trixie, like 2017-ish. It was just like, I think I got my first Spotify account then. I was listening to just shit tons of music, listening to music on YouTube, watching music videos, just going down the YouTube rabbit hole. Found a lot of Denzel, like just a lot of South Florida shit, Gay and Dead, all that stuff. I don't know. I think something that's magnetized me to Denzel so much is that he's just got a very good ear for what makes a song good and what makes a song complete. And he in that sense, he might have a little bit of reverse of Eminem's problem, like we discussed earlier. Like, he's a lot better of a songwriter, I think, than he is a song like conglomerator, I guess, than he is maybe someone with tremendous lyrical depth all the time, consistently. Because I'm looking through the track list right now, Melt Session Walk and all that. Other than obviously the singles, and then I think X-Wing and Angels and maybe Mental had like severe like lyrical impact on me, but the rest is just, I like it because it's not rap, it's more like bebop, and a lot of bebop is kind of fucking up, or sometimes it sounds hollow, like bebop and just like any really improvisational music genre.
Hold on, for Trixie's fans, bebop is not just the name of an anime.
Oh, right.
Bebop is a genre of...
You think
It's a style
Trixie's
of
fans
jazz, like
care about Cowboy Bebop? They're onto some shit you can't even pronounce.
You're right. My bad. That's my fault. I'm dumb.
Fucking Anime Toilet Adventures or whatever. I don't know.
Sushi's perfect album.
105.
My little Japanese stepsister can't be this fucking adorable, but it's all in kanji. Yeah. I get it.
That's such a low-hanging fruit joke, but I love it so much.
It always gets a laugh.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
my
been
fucking
effective
sense
since
of
Ramo.
humor is garbage at this point. I'm sorry, Dave. Keep hitting me with your hot Dave facts.
I might alienate some people in saying this, but I think Denzel comes really close to anime in a lot of respects. Like, with anime, there's the buy-in that a lot of the writing is just kind of shit and not subtle. At least from my experience of anime. Like, even the good stuff is like, there's a level of jokiness that you just kind of have, or not even jokiness, just misplaced earnesty that you have to accept. When Denzel's rapping like The Smell of Death or Worst Comes to Worst or like Sanjuro, he like really means that shit, I think. It just doesn't come across as well as like Walken, right? This album I like a lot better than Taboo, just because it has so much more of like the sound that I liked in Taboo, Black Balloons, even Cashmere. Like the light side of Taboo, it has a lot of those soundscapes just perfected and made less hip hop, more like real world jazz kind of thing.
It feels the less like he was making any concessions to anything that is popular or that like desired of him out of any release he's ever done, for sure. Like, every song was crafted out of like, here's the sounds I want and the people who can make those sounds, and it's going to be like exactly the sound that gets the message across for me, regardless of whether that's like listenable to other people.
Exactly.
But, obviously for some people it will be like, oh, this is exactly the experience I was looking for that I wasn't getting. Like, because Taboo is just front to back pop songs.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a single deep cut on that album. It's all pop songs. It's very similar to Gay and Dead in that regard. And like, I would consider Taboo and Gay and Dead to kind of be like deliberately vapid albums. The point is like, how do I boil down my appeal to like the most like essential elements and like do all the styles I want to do, but do them all in like a verse, chorus, verse. This will definitely succeed kind of way.
Right. And the weird thing about this one,
album's not that.
It's not that at all, because like you get cuts like "Smell of Death" or "Sanjuro" again that are, or even "Ain't No Way" like we said earlier. It's weirdly structured, and it just wouldn't be like a playlist hit kind of thing. But it's still him doing his own thing, and a lot of my enjoyment of Denzel is how much I think I vibe with him in terms of taste.
Definitely, that was a big part of it for me, particularly with like 32 Zell Planet Shrooms and Imperial. It was like, oh, we're listening to the same stuff,
right?
And you're combining it, and it sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's a good distillation of like. I think this is cyclical. It happens with every like I guess new wave, new generation of an art form. Is the old stuff like you get so used to the new stuff, which is repackage elements of the old stuff, that it kind of ages weirdly or ages in not graceful ways necessarily. Like, especially on the production end. Like, there are just some classic hip hop songs that I had to kind of sit through as opposed to really enjoy because the production is really grating.
Yeah.
But as like people took different notes from different, like the good parts of those artists from back then, distilled it. That's where we get people like Denzel Curry or Outkast or any of them. It's similar to what Trixie said, where this is what kind of I expected or what I kind of wished for out of a Denzel release to follow up all the stuff he did like from 2019 to 2021. It's in that sense, it's a worthy successor. And in terms of like a vibe, like an album that I could just play 200,000 times and never get sick of. I mean, so far it's passed that stress test. I guess it really depends on your priorities when you're looking for an album.
So the long-awaited negative take on the album. Bird fell asleep, so we haven't even had one.
This may be a little bit off topic, but I wanted to tell you guys about the top 14 worst songs of 2022. So coming in...
Okay. Hell yeah. Let's go. This is going to be fire.
Oh, boy.
Coming in at number 14 is The Ills. Coming in at number 13 is Zatoichi. You can figure out the rest over here, all right? While we were all talking... I went ahead and wrote down every thought I had about this album just listening to you guys. So I'm going to pull into my grab bag here, pull out a hot take that I have about it, and then we can discuss it. I have about like 15 of them just for time's sake. We may only do like 4 or 5 or whatever, because I understand we all got fucking lives over here. Anyways, how about, let's see here. Let's start with an easy one that's not even about the album. Someone brought up his hair. His hair's bullshit. It's not even unique. Everyone in Florida has retarded hair. All right? If you look at anything in the Jacksonville scene, I don't know what they're putting fucking blenders in their hair and just yanking that shit out of there.
If you look at the Island Boys, you'll see that he's correct.
It's unbelievable to me that he has any kind of identity based off of his hair that isn't just like some fucking Florida rep shit, which I understand. I'm from Texas. I put fucking like chopped and screwed shit in my beats all the fucking time, but he has money and I don't, so I'm mad about it. Let's see here. What else we got? I don't care that he got molested. Nothing gets properly explained. Or explored, rather. So... whenever I listen...
I think something got properly explored.
Am I right, fellas? Fuck you, Denzel. You deserve that memory. Anyways, whenever you listen to the...
Disavow.
Disavow.
I don't care that he got molested. Nothing gets properly explored. So, anytime I listen to a fucking album where someone has to give me their fucking sob story about, like, here's what happened to me before I became a millionaire, they have to sit there to me and explain why I should care. There's a huge difference between me listening to an album where someone throws in 1 or 2 lines in the whole fucking thing and it's supposed to contextualize top to bottom why the album feels the way it does. You can pull that off if that's like a big punchline at the end of like a really impactful 7-minute epic song, but if you like pepper it in, you pussyfoot it, put one in, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it never feels like attractive to me as something I should care about. Not even saying like, you know, I don't feel like I have to make the case here, boys, that molestation is bad. But if it happens, make some money off of it, is what I'm fucking saying. You got to turn that pain into profit. And he's just kind of peppering the steak with it. It's not the full fucking meal. Decipher that how you will. I speak like Aesop Rock raps.
I agree with you, and I'll say that the perfect example of a song that does what you were saying it should have done is Duckworth.
Exactly. And he saved it because there was a point to it. There was a time he could slot that in. I love you, Trixie. Thank you. Let's see here. This one may lead into a bigger topic, but I'm still going to throw it out there because I'm a caution to the wind kind of fella. Denzel doesn't realize that he is a stripper. Me and Riley have talked about this concept a lot, but I can boil it down to a small moment. My personal ethos on content creation is it is more in line with being a stripper than it is being an actor or a director. Your whole point is to develop this somewhat parasocial relationship so you can continue increase subscription and people coming back. They're not listening to a video in a vacuum. They're listening to a video from someone they trust. They have some kind of connection with. Denzel sees the little bullet points of, I need to pepper in this thing. That way I can pull people in and they can pay attention to it. But he doesn't give us the dance. Like Sean, he doesn't give us the dance. So at the end of the day, it feels like a cock tease. It's kind of like the nice little punch up on the end of that one. Let's see here. What the fuck is up with everyone seeing Denzel as a deep artist? I wrote that on there. Fucking, I listened to Taboo. It did nothing for me. I listened to that motherfucker 4 times. I understand the
I will say, I don't think Taboo's a deep album.
Look, he said, welcome to the darker side of Taboo or something, and I was like, well, this is deep and dark. It's gritty. Like a Snyder movie.
I'm not saying these are all knock 'em out the park hot takes right here, but I am saying if I'm dressing down the man, I gotta hit every fucking point.
I do think, though, I think that you will find deeper themes on even Nostalgic 64, which he wrote when he was 16, than you will on Taboo, where, like, Parents, I think, is a really brilliantly framed song about just, you know, why people are usually failures because their parents suck and they just have no drive and motivation. You know, like, he has songs that have deep, impactful messages, but I do think it comes more when he focuses and tells a story. I think he's a better storyteller than he is talking about himself. And that's why, like, when he talks about himself, it ends up being more general, and he won't go into as, like, he's struggling to pull out these memories that he can, you know, draw upon to say something really meaningful, whereas before he was drawing from the news. Like, he blatantly said, like, all these stories are based on the news. This is stuff happening around me. I'll
agree with you there. I'm going to hop step a little bit further and say, I'm going to combine 2 of my points right here. The album sounded fucking homogenous. The boom bap route is ass to me, and there are few artists that can do it nowadays. Now, I understand a lot of you are about to hop in here and start delivering your shit. That's called an elevator pitch. Let me expand on it a little bit. So, boom bap made a big resurgence with Griselda. Love it. I'm a big fan. Conway is my favorite fucking rapper right now. Whenever I listen to Denzel Curry doing boom bap, to me, it sounds more like someone going, I'm going to do a boom bap album because you can't put a thumb on me. You can't figure me out. You can't put me in the box. I don't feel like I don't feel like him and boom bap are together on a song. It sounds to me every time like Denzel is just doing a boom bap song. And I understand that it's ridiculous for me to say that the album is homogenous whenever you have, you know, beat flips, you have motherfucking drum and bass coming in with slow tie. Like, you have all this really, like, diverse and expansive music and shit, but, like, I'm someone who listens for lyrics, and I couldn't help but listen to this album like 2 or 3 times out of the 5 or 6 times I listened to it the way, like, Mint would listen to music, where it's the vibe, the feeling, because it feels like that was the way I was forced into listening to it. Like, Denzel, the way he raps to me sounds like he's freestyling all the time, and I know he freestyles and this is different, but he just has that cadence. It makes me feel like nothing is serious. I understand that these are all like bass awkward takes, right? But
no, it makes sense. He does freestyle a significant amount of what he does.
And I fucking hate that, like, because Jay-Z ruined an entire generation of rappers. Motherfuckers come out here and they're like, yeah, man, you know, I don't even need the board to write it down. I don't even need the pad, man. It just comes from my head into my heart and out my mouth, man. Like, you saw 6 Lack doing that on motherfucking Kenny Beats show. You see Denzel Curry doing this shit. Lil Wayne does it, but I like the way Lil Wayne does it, because Lil Wayne will come in, he'll spit 1 bar, and then he'll take a lap, and then come back in after he's thought of the funniest thing he could say after that. He'll just spit that one. That's why it's all like punched in. Denzel,
I mean, I'll say right now, like, you know, I do podcasts and that's fun and all, but if I stop writing scripts tomorrow, people would not be happy. You know, like that I can spit some real intelligent stuff off the dome, but and I write almost as fast as I talk, but just that extra step removed is enough to make the words way better.
I want Denzel to write like fucking Maddox writes. I need him to just sit there, because here's another point I was going to make. Denzel...
Nobody should write like Maddox.
And here's fucking why. Because Denzel is an artist judged by his potential. I believe that. Anytime I hear someone...
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Anytime I hear anybody talk about Denzel, it almost sounds like they're impressed with what he brought and they can't wait to see how he takes it to the next album. Like, he always seems like a freshman to me. And I can't exactly pin down why, but if you feel it even slightly, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I feel like if he would step away from this whole kind of like... There's definitely a big sense of self-importance that he has that you can see reflected in his Therapy Gecko video, where he like definitely sees a separation between him and someone else, just in general. And then the further you can expand on that, right? I think he takes that into rap with how he fucking... Nah, it's just gonna come out my mouth. I'm a freestyle fucking everything. I'm a genius. Fuck, he doesn't say I'm a genius, but that's what I fucking feel like he's saying. And
he did back when he was 16 doing the freestyle. Like, the first video on his channel is him doing a freestyle and like, one take, genius in the making, 16
right.
years.
Yeah, I was briefly talking to Dave about this, and just the idea that like, the problem with being prodigal or like a prodigy is that when you come up young and you are impressive, you have to get better still. Like, you don't get to just be impressive at 17 and stay impressive. And that's kind of what Fantano's saying in a positive inflection, is like, I'm saying he has stayed impressive. But it's like, well, that is kind of not the goal. Maybe.
Right.
well, no.
I think part of the problem, like, because we see this with Token in a big way, in my opinion, and I think Denzel shares it, where both of them got big when they were really young, and they have never really lived a normal adult life at all. Whereas, like, Kendrick Lamar he was, like, you know, in his mid-20s, like, sure, he was around, he was doing hip-hop the whole time, but, like... You know,
but Kendrick Lamar was around for a long time before he was even Kendrick Lamar. You know, like, even his first layers of fame were like the way we talk about Denzel or Token. But he became a legend recently.
Hey, give me 1 second, fellas. I'll be right back.
Denzel Curry.
Okay.
I think Denzel Curry and Token were both people who like got this flash in the pan moment of like, this person is super young and they're doing something super talented and we're going to draw a lot of attention to that. And both of them went like, yeah, I'm a fucking genius because I was able to do this at this age and it's nothing but this from here on out. And they kept doing it, but like, you know, they don't end up having a broader palette of things to draw from to talk about because their life has just been doing the rap thing, you know, for a decade now. And like, even though Kendrick, yes, he was rapping and he was involved in the industry, he did not have that moment of, you know, blowing up as this young... He did on a smaller scale. Like, there were people who knew about Kendrick Lamar, you know, back in the Overly Dedicated days and everything, but, like, not compared to what it was going to be when he actually blew up around, you know, Good Kid, Mad City. And I just think he was somebody who was able to develop more perspective with which to approach everything that was going to happen to him from that point forward, you know, partly by, you know, being a very mature person and having an old soul, so to speak, from the beginning, but also that he had even more time to sit in the industry, really find out what it was like before he was successful, and, you know, and have that healthy distrust of it, like, not because he fucked up or got fucked over after the start of his career, but because he saw that stuff coming and dodged it until his career began,
I want to,
you know,
I want to wrap up all the things I'm saying real quick, and then, you know, we can do whatever the fuck we want. To finish up, because it's my final point about him being judged by his potential, and I can walk through every fucking track on the album and tell you why it's bad, but I feel like it's more entertaining. We already kind of had a walkthrough of the album, but him being judged by his potential, I understand what you're saying whenever you bring up him and like Token and like how they're different from, say, like Kendrick. I don't think it's them becoming famous too early. I think it's the same thing I see with Eminem almost, where it's like almost still trying to prove that you can rap, or like prove that you belong here, or prove that what you're doing is supposed to be a part of this. And take that how you want to take.
I know exactly what you mean. I felt that way basically until like 2 years ago. That like I was very driven by this idea that people needed to know the full extent of like what my unrealized potential in my own mind was. And then it came to a point where I just wasn't impressed with myself anymore. Like, I just realized, like, yeah, my potential was actually not that amazing, or else I would have made it a lot farther than this already, you know? And, like, that kind of down-to-earthness has helped me. Like, I do think my writing now is the best it's ever been because it's the most mature it's ever been. And it's the most mature it's ever been because I got over myself. Because I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to make something the audience wants to see, you know? And I have a better understanding of how to do that now because I'm like down there with them trying to be them as opposed to trying to be larger than
that's
them,
the problem that
you know?
Denzel fucking has, because anytime I listen to this god-awful piece of shit, do you know why fucking Osama bin Laden burned 10,000 copies of Melt My Eyes in the middle of Kabul, Afghanistan, with 10,000 Afghani troops? It was because it was a terrible fucking album. That's the end of that fucking joke. The whole album to me feels like someone wanting their cake and eating it too. It's, I'm going to drop down, I'm going to give you a little bit of a peek into my psychosis, but just what I want you to see. And I'm going to throw out like one or two little stinger things.
Yeah.
He never gets deep enough. The instrumentals are never interesting enough to me. The whole album feels like a fucking 14-pack of Below Mid. And he's not willing to go from where he is and drop down, but he's willing to rap from that perspective. He just doesn't have that perspective.
I think that's fair personally, but you know, I didn't love the
Well,
album.
me and you agree, and I know Bird agrees with everything I said. He gave the thumbs up from the bed, you know.
You've basically been speaking for him.
He's on the floor.
You thought he would be asleep on a bed?
I have a lot of respect for the Trixie household, so I imagine that's where he'd be.
He passed out where he was sitting
They have a Casper
with the
mattress. He just falls asleep on the floor because it does that. Dude, when we lived together in Idaho, he would like just go out into the living room.
It's well past his
fall
bedtime.
Asleep on the floor.
Is the reason.
Yeah, it's like a timing thing. It's not about location.
He would normally be asleep by like 7 o'clock, and it's already 9:30. So.
Do we have any closing thoughts on the Denzel album?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in one last thing I didn't get to on my little list. It was, it's hilarious to me that Denzel is homophobic when even I think Trixie would agree anime is the gayest thing in the world.
I've always thought Denzel came off, you know, like he should be LGBT friendly.
But he's from the South, and I am too.
True. He's from Florida.
I'm sure he's exactly as friendly with the LGBT as you need to be in your professional career. So, talking about professional careers.
No, that's so fucking funny to me. If you ever watched the Migos before and after they got into fashion, they're like, I don't vibe with none of this gay shit, dog. And then they met like Richard Mill and they're like, you know what? We need to respect our gay brothers. Like, they went to Paris Fashion Week once and all of a sudden they flipped all their politics.
It happens. Fucking Trixie used to say all kinds of shit.
We don't need to get into that.
She needs to. I'm waiting for that.
That needs its own video.
I'm hyped.
It'll happen.
All right. So, what we can't get into is the Grammys. I don't have Album of the Year announced yet. They run this shit all night. They start with Song of the Year and, like, best album from every genre for 3 hours. So, I don't have all the results, unfortunately. But, Song of the Year. Do you have any guesses?
I'm going to put it with,
I have not.
I'm going to say Blood of the Fang by Clipping. It's Kale's Lock of the Week.
I believe that came out in like 2019 or something.
Was Montero nominated?
Yeah.
That should win, right?
Yeah, I don't care what was nominated. Just tell me what you think got Song of the Year.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because it's like a multiple choice. But I wanted to know if that was a choice. I think it's Montero.
I want you to just say a song that's popular, and if you're wildly wrong, we mock you.
I can't think of a song that was that popular last year.
Leave the Door Open by Silk Sonic.
That makes perfect sense. Actually, that came
Bruno
out last
Mars and
year. I guess
Anderson
it was
.Paak.
early.
I loved that album. That's my favorite band of all time is the Stylistics. They were a 70s soul band, and if you ever get the chance, go back and listen to Betcha by Golly Wow. Listen to motherfucking You Make Me Feel Brand New. I sampled that in the Sean album. The whole like I can't remember the little breakdown on "Tell Me About the Old Times." The "You Make Me Feel Brand New," and that whole album was by Anderson .Paak and motherfucking Bruno Mars, was a callback to that style of music, and it just made me so fucking happy to listen to that. My girlfriend listened to it. I made her listen to it, and she listened to it out of order, and I really thought about our relationship after that.
Sorry, what was that band? Sorry.
The Stylistics. The Stylistics, my favorite band of all time. Please check them out.
Oh, yeah.
So much sampleable material, too.
I'm about to, yeah.
Leave the Door Open, I thought was an enjoyable song, but not fuckable.
What?
Which is what it's supposed to be. It's too cute.
No, but you can
It's
slow
not
stroke on
sexy. It's
Spoken like a man with experience.
You can slow stroke on
girlfriend's
any of
gonna
those
love
whole... yeah, she's going to whoop my ass the
Your
second she hears
girlfriend's gonna be
this.
like, why did you say that we fucked to Bruno Mars and that drummer from those Watsky songs?
She just came home, too, so I'm supposed to be not saying this kind of stupid shit, but it doesn't matter. She's going to hit me the second I click off on record.
Beautiful. That's what I like to hear. That's a healthy relationship. Like the Bundys. That's
Like
who you should
absolute
idolize.
psychopath lunatic
Yeah.
Will Smith slapping me, who is Chris Rock, and Will Smith is my girlfriend.
So, best rap album was Call Me If You Get Lost by Tyler, the Creator, but it should have been The Fall Off, in my opinion. What do you guys think of that album, or what it should have been? The off-season, sorry.
That's crazy, because my...
The Fall Off's going to be so good, dude.
My
Fuck,
my
so hyped.
lock of the week was Swimming by Mac Miller, and they didn't even fucking nominate it.
I love it. I'm going to start interviewing you from different eras in your life, because I feel like you could just, like, role play that it's 2014. You can bring you on for, like, a whole episode where we just talk to you from then. You're
Yo,
a
did you
great
guys hear about
performance
this Wiz Khalifa? Yeah, I'm Taylor Ganging it.
Look at my Converse, bro.
No, I know all of them. No, I used to go to high school with all of them.
Trixie, take on album
I'm
of the
like-
year. You liked.
I'm
you
trying to
liked
figure
that
out-
Tyler song. You might have even said it should be
Yeah.
album of the year before.
Call Me If You Get Lost makes perfect sense to me as a pick. It wouldn't be my album of the year. It meant something to me at the time. I think a lot of it's a little too repetitive. It does get old if you listen to it a lot, which I did at the time. But it is like probably my favorite Tyler, the Creator album personally, just because it's what I wanted from him that I had never gotten, which is just like a fun album to listen
gay
to. Like,
one.
all of his albums are fucking depressing, and
just
so
wanted a gay album.
Igor was
What?
the gay
No.
one. Igor was unquestionably.
No,
the
like,
gay
what are you
album.
talking about? Like, all of them were... Like, Wolf wasn't depressing to me, or any of, like, the...
Wolf was the best album by Tyler.
To me, Wolf was like 5 tracks of fun, and then it just gets like really sad. For
Yeah,
the
you
whole
did.
midsection.
I Fucking Hate You on it, which is pretty much a red flag that this is going to get
Yeah.
a little bit emotional.
And I do like
No.
that song.
Meant that
but
song.
yeah,
I dedicate
he's-
it to you every
he's-
time I hear it.
He likes his sad chord progressions, and those make me mopey. And he's just a troubled individual in a way that I'm not.
What was your
necessarily.
pick for album
But
of
I
the
relate
year?
better to the sentiment of his more. So that's the thing. I haven't really figured that out completely yet, because like the stuff I listened to the most was kind of odd experimental stuff. Death's Dynamic Shroud.wav album, Faith in Persona. The first 2 tracks on that are absolute mindgasms. Particularly track 2, that might have been like my song of the year, just because it sounded like nothing I've ever heard.
Sure. Well, like best rap album.
It feels like space
What
explosions.
was your best rap album?
So yeah, that's like, aside from Call Me If You Get Lost, LP by JPEG Mafia was good. I don't think there was one that like stood out to me as like, oh, this is an amazing rap album that I'm going to be listening to like forever.
I think Dave can agree with me on this one. JPEG Mafia is a trip if you're a producer, because you listen to his beats and you hear like almost every bar on his beat, he's changing everything up. It almost feels, I know I referenced this before, but like JPEG's beats,
crazy.
Yeah.
It's
no,
too
JPEG's
detailed.
beats feel like old Maddox articles, where it feels like every single
Yes.
like part of the beat he worked for on weeks.
I think he just makes the songs in a linear way that a lot of people don't. Where like a lot of producers are like, let me lay out these loops and then make it the format of the song. And I think he's literally like creating each bar like at a time, and then like, okay, this sounds cool. What would this transition into interestingly?
And just hiding
like,
samples.
what
He had a
would sound
motherfucking
good at
Britney
this moment?
Spears sample on Veteran, and people still haven't found it, but he's told everyone it's there. Amazing.
I only got into him like last year because there was something about his. I think fucking. One of the songs of Veteran I remember hearing just out of context completely, and I'm like, that's just fucking bizarre. I can't wrap my head around it. But
Thug Tears, I bet.
I don't know. That might have been the one. But eventually, I sat down with a good pair of headphones and gave his entire discography like a good listen or two. Mm-hmm. And I'm amazed still. Like, I'll still find shit in his songs that I haven't heard yet.
Peggy's crazy. And we can expand on that for sure, like with some sort of rap podcast where maybe we bring an artist in and just fucking like deep dive talk about them. That would be a blast for us.
Yeah.
But to move along and wrap this up, the best melodic rap performance went to Kanye West,
Melodic rap.
The Weeknd, and Lil Baby for Hurricane.
Yeah.
Is this a new category that they just invented? Melodic rap?
There's a lot of categories, man. There's melodic pop. There's a lot of categories.
I didn't know this
I
was a
don't
thing.
see how you could have a melodic rap genre and not have like SoundCloud trap artists filling it. Like, I feel like the only reason you would have a melodic rap album, like whatever category, would be so you can separate the lyrical from the melodic rappers. I don't understand how Kanye got there.
Nominations were not Kanye. Like,
I don't understand
I'm sure
that.
he was the only one. Well, Lil Baby kind of does his little on the weekend.
Yeah, but Lil
I mean, I don't.
I think it's all just based on the
would be like
weekend.
Young
It's
Thug,
also just the worst fucking version of Hurricane.
Yeah.
What the
Yes.
fuck? What are we doing?
I agree.
Why is that the
High
one that
five me
exists?
through Discord.
Yeah, I got you. Nah, the Hurricane's one of my favorite Kanye songs.
Do we know who accepted the award on his behalf?
That's a good question.
I
That's a
guess
really
it would
good
have
one.
been, right?
Yeah, it probably was just
Hold
a
on,
feature.
I'm gonna
it's must
Google
have
that
had to
shit.
go up. I hope they shout it out.
Yeah, do it. Find out.
Grammy.
I didn't
shout
dive
it
that
way
deep
out.
into it. I was just like, oh, The Weeknd got a melodic rap. Grammy, duh.
I wonder if they created that category because of Tyler's upsetness at having previously been a hip hop category. Because like that was the whole thing with Igor, right? Was that he was like, why was this considered a hip hop album? It's a
Hold
goddamn
on,
pop album.
I just looked this
I don't
shit
know.
up. It says the Donda single "Hurricane" beat out tracks by J. Cole, Doja Cat, Lil Nas X, and Tyler the Creator for best melodic rap performance.
So they mean pop rap?
Lil
What
They
the
don't mean
fuck?
melodic rap. They mean, yeah, it is what you're talking
Lil
about.
Nas X should have won.
It's like the Tyler category that they wanted. It's the pop rap stuff.
Which Lil Nas X song?
Probably
Industry Baby. It was J. Cole.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
Kanye
should have won.
produced.
That
So
should've
here's all
won.
the tracks. Yeah, J. Cole, Pride is the Devil, Doja Cat, Need to Know, Lil Nas X, Industry Baby, and Tyler the Creator, What's Your Name?
That should have been Pride is
Industry
the Devil.
Baby was without a doubt the track of the year. Like in terms
so?
of memorability, staying power, just like you can conjure that the noise of that song in your head instantly. You know exactly
You're
what
right.
it sounds like.
It was weird because I feel like Jack Harlow and Lil Nas X have gotten no press since like they got all the press.
Yeah. I haven't, no, but like Jack Harlow's been doing fucking like local shit.
His album's gonna be great.
No, I mean, I don't know about all that, but I know that he fucking was
Based
doing.
on Nail whatever. I'm excited.
Nail Tech? Yeah.
Nail Tech.
I'll-
Yeah, so the worst version of Hurricane, I think, and it wasn't. I agree with you that maybe those songs shouldn't have been nominated for this category, or maybe the category doesn't mean what we think it should mean.
Yeah, it makes no fucking it's the same thing Tyler was saying
Those
about.
are all pretty lyrical songs.
Well, it's the same thing about Tyler saying like, oh, whenever you say urban performance kind of
Yeah.
thing, where it's like, why the fuck do you have this category if it's just more pop shit? Because I don't see the difference between a motherfucking J. Cole song and best rap song. Like, I don't know why that's picked out and put in a different category. That feels like a rap song.
That's an odd one.
Right. Well, best rap songs also Kanye.
I'm gonna put a fucking
Jail.
gun in my mouth if the Grammys
Kanye
don't fix
won
this shit.
Best rap song, and it's
For
Jail
Jail?
with Jay-Z. Specifically the Jay-Z version.
What else was in that category? What was it?
You
up
want me to
against?
Google it? I'll pull it up for you, Daddy. Let me see here.
Yeah. I need to know.
At least we know who our Jamie will be for the rap podcast. Pull it up, Bad Eater.
Yeah, Bad Eater, motherfucking autistic memory of hip hop music, and also the ability to type really quickly. I just found a
I
pitchfork.
love it because I don't have the memory part,
Okay,
so I need a guy like you around. To
okay. So here's
remember shit.
what they beat. You got Kanye West and Jay-Z winning with Jail. They beat out DMX with Bath Salts, which feels like just such a fuck. They wouldn't have given him this award if he was still alive. Fuck you, Grammy.
Right, why'd they nominate it? Fuck you.
Yeah, Saweetie with Best Friend, Baby Keem with Family Ties, and J.
So that should have won.
And J. Cole, My Life.
I like My Life, but Family Ties.
Family Ties should have won.
Family Ties was fly.
Wait, there's a new Kendrick song for the first time in like 3 years, and they don't give it Best Song.
Yeah, for Jail.
It's surprising.
In favor of Jail.
Well, Jail is Return to the Throne.
You remember when they had the motherfucking Oscars, and that was whenever Chadwick Boseman was dead, and he was like, at the final part, was like Best Actor of the Year, and like he was nominated, and Anthony Hopkins won, and Anthony wasn't even there. He was like doing a fucking Zoom call. He was like, "I thank you for giving me the award." Black people almost burnt down half of San Diego. It was a wonderful time.
Yeah, people care so much about this shit, so it is kind of important.
It's our soccer. Like, it's our fucking...
Yeah.
You know how other countries have fucking soccer? They go brazy over that shit. I'm being honest with you right now. If I see, like, Earl Sweatshirt win Best Rap Album, I'm flipping a bus. I'm so excited for that shit. Even though these are all, like, supposedly meaningless, like, it gives me some kind of neural reaction whenever I hear this news. So it means something.
You gotta give a shit about something, man.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
I think that's a real big secret a lot of people lose when they're smart enough to be nihilistic and they don't push through the midwittism to like realize that you have to attribute meaning to things.
Oh man,
in order to have a meaningful life.
Those excitements you're describing, I get none of that from these award shows because nothing I like ever wins. But like when it comes to like watching YouTubers just make their top 10 of the year list, that can be, if it's like why I care a lot about what YMS thinks about movies, not because I want him to feel the same way I do. I just am really invested in the narrative of what he will score.
I could write a whole fucking article about that shit where it's like, I almost, it's not that I have to have my creators like have the same kind of idea as me or the same perspective as me, but it just feels so nice whenever you hear an album you really like be in the top 5 on like Best of the Year by Fantano. And I know the BET award, like the Soul Train Awards are more important to me than the fucking Grammys. But anytime I see like something important to me, like, I don't know, it was like whenever Nipsey Hussle was nominated, like, that made me feel really good. That was before he passed too, so it just felt nice to see him organically move up like that. No, but fucking what else won? I have Grammys in the Google bar, and I have the rest of it waiting to get filled out so I can be your little sweet, hot, beautiful Jamie.
Whatever you're.
Well, I'm gonna read you guys the winners real quick and what they were up against. So
Perfect.
There was a lot of people nominated for Best New Artist. So I'm going to read them off to you guys, let you guys guess, and then at the end of it, I'll tell you who the fuck won. Does that sound good?
Hey, that's actually playing the game. Good job. Thank you. You're better than me at this.
All right. So we have Best New Artist nominees: Baby Keem, Phineas, Olivia Rodrigo, Saweetie, Glass.
Phineas? Is it because he got a co-artist credit on the new Billy album? That's why.
Maybe. Glass Animals, Jimmy Allen, Japanese Breakfast, Arlo Parks, The Kid Laroi, and Arouge Aftab.
I haven't heard of The Kid Laroi in 2 years. What are they smoking?
Olivia Rodrigo.
All right, that's
I'm guessing it's Olivia Rodrigo.
Well, you motherfuckers ought to buy a lottery ticket because you won.
She's a girl, and she's really popular right now.
She's the only one of them I've heard of.
So
it'll be Doja Cat next year.
So we didn't get to go over. We learned who the best song was. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read you guys all the other nominees, and instead of just figuring out which the best one was, tell me what you think the best one should have been. Is that good? We can do that part.
Yep.
All right. Leave the Door Open. Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak. Bad Habits. Ed Sheeran. A Beautiful Noise. Alicia Keys. Kiss Me More by Doja Cat and SZA. Fight for You by Her, Right on Time by Brandi Carlile, Driver's License Olivia Rodrigo, Happier Than... Where are all the fucking guys on this list? Happier Than Ever, Billie Eilish and Phineas.
Oh.
Peaches by Justin Bieber and Giveon and Daniel Caesar, or
Still no girls. Or still no guys.
And you're right again, because the last one's Montero, Call Me By Your Name.
So that one, probably.
Yeah, I want Montero.
That's a because it's a cultural fucking.
It was an event.
Joe Rogan talked
it's like
about
a
it.
cultural event. Yeah, probably should have been that
And it's
one.
just a good ass song.
I mean, he performed it tonight anyway because Kanye didn't perform. So they performed Montero.
So it seems like there were only 4 nominated for rap album. That was Call Me If You Get Lost, Off Season, King's Disease 2, and Donda. I'm going to go ahead and come in from the back real quick and say King's Disease, if not first, it should have gotten second, in my opinion. Listen to Death Row East and tell me you're not immediately just imagining yourself walking into a club, turtleneck and chained up, with a cup in your hand with some brown shit in it, and you're just walking through a crowd of beautiful women. That's what that song sounds like. It's so fucking good.
EPMD 2 is really good, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
King's Disease has Eminem on it. Him and Nas haven't worked together enough.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I fucking wanted to shoot Eminem in the mouth with a fucking rifle whenever I heard him on the Griselda album, What Would Sheen Gun Do? Because, like, they were coming in with the whole, like, in Ferragamo goggles in the day room eating nachos kind of flow, and it was amazing. I was loving it. And then, like, here comes Eminem with, just doing the fucking, like, Pikmin noises. It drove me fucking crazy.
Beautiful.
That's about as much blood as I can squeeze out of this Grammys stone. If you guys have anything else you want to throw in there, but that was pretty much the last I can find on anything.
That's the podcast.
Okay.
Now go ahead and plug your shit.
Feel free, Dave. Go ahead. I was the first guest, but I'm the most humble.
Right. YouTube.com/Cranberry Dave. SoundCloud.com/Cranberry Dave. Shout out to Hades.
I'm Bad Eater. Follow me at Bad Eater Music at Bandcamp.com. Me and Trixie have an EP that I'm producing. I'm manifesting it right now, and she can't say no. It's like I'm proposing.
Oh boy.
We also, I got the Sean album. Love the Sean album. Riley's on it. Great work. Sad we couldn't get Dave on it, but look forward to the deluxe. It's a little bit of a maybe. I'm doing what Eminem did whenever he put down ICP as a guest to his first concert, and he wrote maybe under it, and it started their beef. So keep an eye out for that. Me and Dave are going to start beefing because I put him on the album and he didn't know about it.
I am some kind of clown.
I'm really looking forward to what you do with the Grand Wazoo and Trixie. If we could find our listen through of that, I'll do something.
Oh my God! Can I please?
Can
I please? I understand we all have somewhere to be. I have to be up at fucking 4:30 in the morning for work, but I really it will hurt my soul if I don't get to say my piece about Grand Wazoo real quick. That motherfucker's a genius. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what any of you are gonna throw at me. That motherfucker wrote what was it? The Ballad of Nick and Rich, which has one of the best choruses I've heard all fucking year. That if you believe in magic, if so, where? It's so fucking good. Every single song on that is straight up produced top to bottom by him from fucking scratch. Whenever I worked with him,
He plays all the instruments.
Yeah, I was working with him on a Sean song. It's going to be a doo-wop song about like Sean trapping me and fucking me in a basement. And he
beautiful. Just to brag, this is one of my proudest producer moments.
Yeah, no, fucking he hooked me up so fucking well because Grand Wazoo is hard to fucking get in contact with. So I fucking, me and him hit it off. I sent him like, oh, whatever the fuck you want to do, I'm down to do anything for it. Like, let's work together. He sends me back 12 different audio files that you're supposed to mash together. He's like, here's all the 12 different instruments I did. Here's all the vocal layers. Here's what key it is. Here's the time signature. Here's the chord structure. Send me everything I need as a producer. Fucking great. I don't give a fuck what he does outside of me and him making music. He could fucking be Ted goddamn Bundy, but he is the best person I've worked with whenever it comes to sending me proper information to make shit. And listening to his album, I think I said it to you guys, listening to that album was like...
He got me into Frank Zappa, bro.
It made me feel like I was listening to Tom Waits for the first time, where you're just confused and you're almost kind of laughing at it at first, but then you start going, I can't make something better than this. It's like uncomfortably good. And like I've re-listened to that behemoth of an album several times. The nature of my job is I'm by myself a lot of the day just doing tasks. So I just throw in earbuds. I probably listened to that album 4 or 5 times.
I'm gonna re-listen to it this weekend. I apologized to him in LA when we hung out at one of the bars for the Road Rage weekend. I apologized to him for giving it a 3.
Yeah,
I feel like that's not
that
fair.
better be a 3 out of a possible 2, motherfucker. Because that
I will re-listen to it.
No,
okay, we'll talk about it on our music show.
I'm gonna wrap up everything I'm saying real quick. I'm gonna boil it down to my my little shout outs. I'm done with plugging. I want to shout out my man Poorly Drawn Pineapple Jake for just making this moment happen. If it wasn't for him, I would have never have heard of Trixie, and if it wasn't for Trixie, I wouldn't have heard of the Dick Show, and if it wasn't for the Dick Show, I wouldn't have made the Sean album. So that motherfucker shifted my life in a really cool way, and he doesn't even understand it. I also want to shout out the Denver Nuggets. Fuck Utah. Fuck Arizona. Fuck everyone in the fucking Western Conference. If your state doesn't begin with a C, we're fighting on sight. And I'm Bad Eater. Check out my music.
Man, it's not about beauty, it's about sports. Okay?
But I like the canyons in Utah. But yeah,
Mint's face crunched up when you said fuck Utah. She was like offended.
I mean, what has Utah done for us?
Mormon.
Utah's brought us one of the shittiest basketball teams, the Jazz. Also brought us Maddox.
I was gonna say, I don't know, in a way, Utah brought us the Dick Show.
They also have shitty tasting water. That's even
you wouldn't
that's
be
more
here
of an
for
atrocity than
fuck
It's
Utah.
true. I hate
right.
that my life is somehow affixed to Maddox being a retard.
So funny.
Yeah,
it's a cosmic curse.
That man has created so many careers while destroying his own. It's so fucking insane.
Dude, I get hired for local production gigs because Maddox was an idiot once.
Also,
it's so fucking funny.
Shout out to the Sean album. We just recently got past 8,500 on total album listens. We're about to hit that 10,000 real quick, which is, you know what? It's really been a blessing, fellas. It's really been.
I'm glad you're allowed to be on Bandcamp. When we made Fats Miss Carols, we got banned after hitting the front page.
I could have
And
charted on
#1.
Billboard Comedy. I just didn't want to sell that album. I thought comedy's free, baby.
No, it's funnier
I'm
to,
shouting
to
out-
Billboard chart.
I'm shouting out Cranberry
Yes.
Dave,
Hey.
and I'm shouting out Bad Eater for being our guest
Man.
on the show.
Thank you.
both. I'm shouting out ASC Presents and Mint Salad in particular for doing a video every day all month, which was incredibly impressive last month. You need to watch all those. And shout out to my husband Bird, passed out on the ground, who I will be shortly taking
What a
to
great
bed.
guy. All right, this has been Voidgazers episode 4. See you guys next. We need a sign out. What's our sign off?
Void, 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 the Hypnotoad.
Do you have a void thought you want to share? Call 202-681-8643 and we'll play your voicemail on the show.